Years ago, when I worked as a stockbroker in the brokerage industry, I had a very unique experience. Most people don't realize just exactly how the brokerage industry works, but there are basically two sides to the brokerage industry. One side is the regular retail brokerage side, and well, actually, I guess there's about three. The other one is like an asset management side, and then the third side, the most exclusive, is the corporate finance side. Now, very rarely does anyone get a chance to, especially a retail broker, very rarely does anyone get a chance as just an ordinary broker to work with the corporate finance department, which is one of those other sides, one of the three sides. And that corporate finance is a whole other realm of the brokerage business that very few people know much about. But I was lucky. I was working for a medium-sized local regional brokerage in Southern California. The number of brokers, they were one of the largest, but as far as assets under management or etc., they were a little bit on the small side. But they had lots and lots of brokers. And I can't remember how many offices they had, but they had several offices located throughout the state. And I was working in one of their branches, and I became interested in the corporate finance area. And I was one of the few brokers that the vice president of corporate finance would talk to, because I had a knack for finding deals and putting together deals that would work and that would function, because very few people have the skill to put together a deal that would function, and or to identify those deals that are good and those that are bad. And in that day and age, which was way back in the 1980s, I was paging through the Wall Street Journal to find various projects. I would imagine I would do the search differently today. It'd be some kind of internet search. But back then, I went through the Wall Street Journal and was just telephoning in response to the ads placed there for people looking for investments, investment funds. Now, we had criteria. It had to be at least $10 million, that we wouldn't even look at it. And there were many other criteria that I don't remember at this point. But I was able to check off the criteria, make sure everything fit. And if everything fit, as far as the criteria were concerned, in my interview or my discussion with the promoter of the project went fine. Then and only then would I make an introduction to the vice president of corporate finance. I was very good at screening these deals because I could tell from quickly looking at the business plan whether it was pie in the sky or whether it was real. And only if it was for real, and only if the resumes of the various officers worked out and looked like they fit and looked like they were feasible, only then did I pass the project along. And the vice president of corporate finance was very pleased with the caliber of my work. And I was very good because, I get these whole books, these whole big, thick books, that were the business plans, and about, I'd say 75 to 80% of them would just go in the trash after looking at it real quick, because I was able to make a quick decision on whether or not it looked feasible or not, and most of them weren't feasible, and they went in the trash, and I didn't even call the promoter back, okay? But on some of those that were good, I would call the promoter back, and go over the details with them, and if they pass the interview, then I would pass it on. In fact, I remember a broker who was seated behind me had a deal they wanted to present to the vice president, and she said to me, she says, Mark, she says, why don't you look at what he has and see if it's any good, and you get back to me. I don't even have time to talk to him, you know. So, you know, it was a very special thing, and she would call me. I didn't even have to call her. And she always returned my phone calls, etc. So I'm very good at pinpointing projects that will work. Also, I got into a discussion one time with an elderly gentleman who was what was called a promoter. And as far as I know, there is still no course at the university level on promotion as a profession. But it is a profession. It's a very small profession. And what a professional promoter does is put these packages together, which includes the executive search and all that, okay? And so the first step that the promoter does before he even comes up with the business plan or anything else, he comes up with the idea. So a promoter has to be a good idea man. And then once he's come up with the idea, then he looks for the president, the proposed president of the company. And then the job of the president, once appointed, is to appoint the other officers. And then the other officers of the company, along with the promoter, prepare the business plan. And then it is presented to investors. Then and only then. That is how it is done professionally, my friends. That is how it is done professionally. And there's very few people that have that skill today. Now, I happen to be one of the people that has that skill. And I am now going to be using that skill in the Bitcoin industry, the Bitcoin space, because it is so dearly needed today. A professional promoter is needed in the Bitcoin industry, and I am coming forward to fill that bill. And we're going to fill that bill through our website at globalfinancialsecurity.com. That's globalfinancialsecurity.com. And we have a special page there for business, or the title of the page is Bitcoin Business Development. That's Bitcoin Business Development at globalfinancialsecurity.com. And we are a market leader in the Bitcoin industry, and this is something that is really needed in the Bitcoin space, because bringing professionalism in promotions, in other words, putting together professional packages, is something that is so sorely needed. So, look at this page at globalfinancialsecurity.com and enjoy the packages that we put there, and know, well, a lot of them are just at the beginning phase right now, and we are in the executive recruitment mode. So if you think you qualify to be an executive in one of these companies, we invite you to contact us, and we will tell you how to submit your resume, etc., and what the deal is. And you will get a percentage. If you're appointed as one of the beginning corporate officials, you will get a percentage of the resulting business. And as you know, being an equity holder in a startup company like this can make you a millionaire or even a billionaire. And believe me, we are picking companies that will have the best chance for success. And we are raising the money through the Bitcoin platform on a worldwide basis. So, my friends, this is our message for right now, and I invite you to look at what we have already developed. And of course, if you have any ideas for a good business, contact me as well. If you want to submit your resume, contact us. And if you want to invest, contact us, and we will answer you back depending on what stage we are at. So until next time, this is M. John Allen saying goodbye, everybody.